You're listening to the Never Heard of It podcast,
a Night Shift Radio original. Every week we bring you the good,
the bad,
the weird,
and lesser known streaming movies.
Hit subscribe for new episodes every Thursday and Sunday.
Hey, everyone.
Hi.
So I've had a little bit of a nostalgic week.
Oh, yeah?
And I'm going to tell you about it.
I hope so.
I think I told you a while back that I started watching the 2017 Ducktales series.
Yes.
And I started it. I got a handful of episodes in. Actually, I think I got into the second season, and then I decided I wanted Ellen to watch it with me, so I started over with her, and we got a little bit farther than I got the first time, and she's like, "You can watch this without me." I was like, "Well, that's really disappointing because I would have finished this by now." But I resisted for a while, and then I did go ahead and finish it, which is to say, I just yesterday finished the final episodes, and what a ride! What a fun show it was. I mean, first of all, the cast was phenomenal across the board, but just really, really fun writing, really respectful homage to the original show. Definitely updating its handling of Scrooge's adventures to be significantly less bigoted towards native cultures and whatnot.
Right. Significantly less racist.
Significantly less racist. Significantly less just weird in general, and just made it fun and magical and whimsical. And I really loved that. I absolutely loved all of the various tie-ins to the other Disney afternoon shows. I mean, we had multiple episodes featuring Darkwing Duck, and of course some rumors that there might be a spinoff. I hope so. Him being featured in that Chip and Dale's movie also gives some hope. We'll see. I don't know. But the multiple appearances from characters from Tailspin, even a reference to the gummy berry juice from Gummy Bears. We saw the Rescue Rangers a couple times. Just really, really fun, self-aware, just good writing. And I had a good time. I had a good time watching it. And I want there to be more so badly.
So speaking of Darkwing Duck, actually, just recently, within the past couple of months, there was a new comic book series that launched. And the writer of that comic book series, we're actually Twitter friends. Her name is Amanda Dibert. She also wrote for He-Man on Netflix. She's wrote some Star Wars stuff, some Marvel and DC Comics stuff.
Neat.
And some other things. So she is the head writer on that Darkwing Duck brand new comic run that it just started up recently.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
I would read that. But I loved getting different takes on some of these characters. I love the way that they handled the time differential between the original series and maintaining some continuity while still being a reboot, and giving us more involved backstories for some of the minor characters. Just really, really fun in general. So, if you remember the original DuckTales series fondly and haven't watched the new one, I definitely recommend it. If you have children and want to get them into just a rollicking, good, family-friendly adventure show, I recommend it just across the board. It was a lot of fun. In kind of a different direction, but still, my hair keeps getting in my mouth. But still on the nostalgia side of things, I have a confession to make.
Okay.
Yesterday, I intentionally watched the 2014 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
Is that the animated one?
No, it's the Michael Bay one with Megan Fox and Will Arnett.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And you know what? I didn't hate it.
Interesting.
It was extremely stupid, but in a very fun way. I had a good time with it. And looking at the creature design for the turtles, I get they are horrifying monsters, but also they're kind of supposed to be. I mean, they are mutated humanoid turtles. That's not gonna come across cutesy if you try to do it in any kind of realistic way. Shredder, way over the top, very stupid. Still fun. Created some additional drama. I didn't care for the backstories for the characters, but also it's one of those things where we've seen it a half a dozen different ways and a half a dozen different mediums. Whatever, it's fine. Okay, so the rat taught himself martial arts and taught the kids, and somehow also was familiar with Japanese culture. Okay, sure. That's no less believable than any other part of this film. So like that's kind of where like some of my sticking points was. Also, Will Arnett as Vern was just kind of creepy, less so than the cartoon weenie that I remember Vern Fenwick being. But all that to say, it was a fun time, and like totally totally honest here, I will probably watch the sequel.
Which is out, because there was two already.
In 2016, it was Out of the Shadows.
Yeah. Are you excited for the new animated one that's coming out, the reboot with Seth Rogen running it?
I wasn't until now. And now, like, my enthusiasm for the Ninja Turtles has returned. And I think that's really interesting because I'll be honest, like I kind of had this feeling when the Transformers franchise got rebooted as a film franchise and Michael Bay was at the helm. I went into it with a little bit of that childlike glee, like, oh, this is a thing that I loved, and it's really cool to see it on the screen. And holy shit, what the fuck is this? And so like that got progressively more ruined for me as the franchise went on, to the point where like even though there's plans to like try to resurrect it and do something different with it, I've all but given up on it at this point. And even like the cartoons, like the newer cartoons, I should say, don't hold that much appeal for me anymore. Whereas there was a time when they definitely did. We'll see. Time heals things. I've gone back and started watching some of the Gen 1 cartoons again and like enjoying it. Again, they're terrible. It was all just a big, marketing campaign, but it's fun, and like digging into some of the lore, like YouTube channels like Toy Galaxy and stuff like that. It's just a lot of fun to learn about some of the characters and like kind of reminiscent about some of the toys that I had. All of which to say, when I saw these hideous looking live action Turtles movies were released, and I did not see them in the theaters, my thought was, nope, this franchise is over. And then the new animated one was released, and I was like, sure, fine, whatever. Like, I'm not interested. But like, now I'm kind of interested again.
Yeah, you know what? Like, to me, for like the Transformers movies, they're really great if you put them on mute. Just because, like, terrible dialogue aside, it's still really cool to see lifelike Transformers.
Yes.
Like to see them transform, to see them in all their like looking real, right? They look very real. And that, same thing with like, Jurassic Park, although that is, objectively a good movie.
Yes.
But like it's another one of those things where it's like seeing these things that you don't get to see, these, dinosaurs, although were real, seem fantastical to me because like they just existed so long ago that like it's not like I can talk to, like an old person who used to see a dinosaur. Like I could find someone who probably saw a dodo bird or something, like, well, you can't anymore, but you used to be able to find somebody who had seen a dodo bird before. It's that same sort of feeling where it's like, well, this really existed, but now you're seeing it and it's so real and cool looking. Same thing with the Turtles, the original Turtle movies did a really good job. I mean, Jim Henson, obviously was involved in the turtle costumes for the 80s movies. But like seeing them again, like all fully functional and everything, like that is cool. It'll never not be cool, even if the movie sucks.
And I kind of liked how they had this like slapped together, just like trash armor and like weird gadgets and stuff like that. And like as I was watching, I could hear people in my head, which maybe this is a me problem and not an other people problem. I could hear people complaining about like, oh, like the stupid, like the skateboards that they have, or like all the weird gadgets. And I was thinking like, no, but like I did have all that shit in the cartoons. It was cool as shit, like rocket powered skateboards and like all that. So like
that was Donatello's whole thing.
Yeah, it was. So I don't know if there was any validity into the voice in my head making up other people's complaints about the film. I don't know if that actually was a genuine complaint, but like it's the kind of thing where I could see people like having a problem with it and forgetting the whimsy of the not necessarily the original source material, because the comics were dark as shit, but the cartoon and the films that we grew up on. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was very stupid, and now I like the Ninja Turtles again.
Huzzah! Yeah, so while you were being nostalgic, I was being extremely contemporary. I watched 2 new shows. I binged 2 new shows.
You madman.
Yeah, listen, it's been a week and I binged 2 shows. So there's that. But so both of them are very modern. Both of them just came out within, for those of you guys listening, they came out about a week ago. For you, I guess they just came out like 2 days ago. But for everyone else then. So the first one I watched was called The Night Agent, which is available on Netflix.
Okay.
So there was a little while where Netflix was running like spy shows after spy shows. If you guys remember, a couple months back, I talked about the one with Charlie Cox in it. And then I talked about the other one with I forgot his name. The Atom in Black Adam. The atomic. What's the guy? The atomic guy. He can make himself really big.
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
I didn't watch
guy. Black Adam. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I forgot what his character name is, but that guy, you know who I'm talking about, that guy. And so I watched another spy movie. So this one is called The Night Agent. So the IMDb description for this one is low-level FBI agent Peter Sutherland works in the basement of the White House manning a phone that never rings until the night it does, propelling him into a conspiracy that leads all the way to the Oval Office. Now, I say, just like where you say you don't like rom-coms, I say I don't like spy things, and then I watch all of them, and I'm like, okay, maybe I do, and I just don't want to admit it. It's one of those things. So this was actually a really cool series. The main actor in the series, the guy that plays Peter Sutherland, is Gabriel Basso, who he was in a few movies, but it's really interesting. He was in American Wrestler in 2016 and The Whole Truth with Keanu Reeves in 2016, and that did nothing until 2020. Where he starred in Hillbilly Elegy, and then did nothing until he did The Night Agent, which came out in 2023. So I think that's really interesting that he's leading this. But for any like indie fan, you'll notice him. He was Martin in Super 8, so that's where his kind of film career started back in 2011, where he was 17 at that time. And then, aside from the other main characters, there's 2 people that specifically stuck out to me. And I was like, one of them, I was like, wait, where do I know you from? And that one was Fola Evans Akimbola, let's say. I'm sorry, I butchered your last name. Also, the text on IMDb is really small, so I couldn't really see it. She plays a Secret Service agent, and I was like, how do I know this woman? I was like, I've seen her in something and I cannot think of what it is.
Oh, yeah.
So she was in Black Mirror. She was in Verse. She was in 10%. I didn't remember her from Black Mirror, but you guys might remember a while back, maybe a few years ago, I talked about this mermaid show called Siren, where this couple has a threesome with a mermaid and becomes a throuple. And she was Maddie Bishop in that. She was the human woman in the throuple of that. And I was like, that's how I knew her from. And then aside from that, there's a couple other, good people. I'm trying to think of who. Yeah, Christopher Shire, who's been in a few things. You guys will definitely recognize him. But D.B. Woodside was in this as well. He plays Fola's Secret Servant partner. He, a lot of people probably know him from Lucifer. He plays Amenadiel, I don't know, Lucifer's brother. He was in 24, but I remember him, and I still quote this. He was in the movie Romeo Must Die with Jet Li and Aaliyah. And it's really great. So I still quote one of his lines, and of course I'm blanking on it right now. But yeah, he was in that movie, and I really like that movie. And he was in that. But so all in all, really, really good plot. A lot of really great twists. A lot of twists that they do a really good job of like, maybe it's this, and you're like, oh, maybe it is that, and then they're like, no, it's not that, and you're like, oh, okay, and then they're like, but just kidding, it actually is, and you're like, oh, you got me. Like, it was really good. There was a lot of really good twists with this show. If you're into kind of spy stuff, or good looking dudes doing spy things, Gabriel Lasso is a good looking guy. He's very CW boy looking.
Yeah, he very much is.
Yeah, but like, he does the part well. There's a lot of cool intrigue of like how it all went down, and there's a lot of things where like episode 1 ties to like episode 8, where they're like, oh, remember this thing, and you're like, oh shit, yeah. So if you're into spy stuff, definitely check it out. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. It's only 10 episodes, an hour each. I binged it in a day, but listen, judge yourself, not me, because like I said, it was a week. So I binged it in a day, but you could easily binge this over the course of like a week and totally be cool with it. It was a really good show. Now, other than that, and I bring this up in our episode coming up this Sunday, I made a reference to Scott Pilgrim.
Yes.
And the reason I made a reference to Scott Pilgrim is because there's another new show that is 8 episodes, just came out on Hulu in America, and it's called Up Here. And it stars Mae Whitman, and Mae Whitman was Roxy from Scott Pilgrim. So she is in this, but it also stars Carlos Valdez, who was Cisco in the Arrowverse shows on CW, where he plays a character named Miguel. So we have Mae Whitman as Lindsay and Carlos Valdez as Miguel. And basically the series is a musical. So it is singing and dancing and all that kind of is singing, is dancing, is people.
I haven't watched this, but I have seen this on Hulu. Yeah,
it is so charmingly sweet. I freaking loved this show so much. It was just, the music numbers, big musical nerd, but like the musical numbers are cute and they help portray emotion, but like the scenes are really cute and there's a cool, a cool little find yourself message in it. And I really liked that. But again, Mae Whitman is fantastic in it. Carlos Valdez is fantastic in it. But the cool thing about it is that both Lindsay and Miguel, who meet each other as Lindsay ends her engagement and moves to New York to become a writer. It's set in the 90s, by the way. It's set in 1999. And she moves to New York. A few months later, she runs into Miguel. And the thing we find out is that they both have personalities in their, not like DID thing, but like voices in their head of people in their past. So like Lindsay sees her parents and like a girl who bullied her in school and stuff like that. And Miguel sees, the guy that his fiance cheated on him with. He sees his mom who had passed a long time ago. And he also sees, a couple other people. But one of the voices in Lindsay's head is played by John Hodgman, which I thought was really funny. And he's great in it. But it's nice because they don't ever say like, I have voices in my head, but they're both like, there'll be moments where they'll be talking and then they'll kind of like space out because the voices are happening. And the other one will be like, hey, where'd you go? And they'll be like, oh, it's nothing. And it's really great. It's really cute. Love the love story. I will admit though, after watching the series, I'm kind of like, I don't know if you guys should be together. Like, you're both kind of fucked up. Like, not just because of the voices thing, but I was like, you also all both make very terrible decisions. The whole show. But it's kind of the idea of Lindsay finding herself and them sort of maybe will they, won't they throughout the series. Yeah. So to relate this to other shows, if you watched Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist and you enjoyed that show, you will love this show.
Makes sense.
If you love any TV shows, whether it's a musical sort of thing, you will absolutely love this show. So this is another one. I highly recommend it. Mae Whitman is hilarious in it. She does a really good job. Miguel is so charming and so cute. He does such a good job in this role as well, and is a really good singer. Highly recommend watching this. It's also fun because it's set in 1999 and the show ends with it turning to the year 2000. And it's funny because like in Miguel's office, he works in a bank and all of his, like one of his guy friends that he works there with is like, oh, this is cool and great, but like doesn't matter because in a couple of months, Y2K is going to blow everything into shit and we're all going to be dead and it doesn't matter. Like he's, full on Y2K, like this is it. This is the end of the world. And it's very funny because thinking back, we were 18 when Y2K happened. And I remember people being like, a lot of people freaking out and being like, this is the end of the world. And a lot of people being like, shut up, and the shut up people were right. Yeah. They were right. It was not a big deal. And, everything was fine. I didn't know, in my head, I was like, I don't understand why it would. Like, I couldn't comprehend the doomsday people side where I was like, That doesn't make sense to me, though. Like, it doesn't make sense that this would happen. Like, it's just a number flip. It would just go to 0 and just start the clock at, the year 0000, right? Like, that's what it would do. It just didn't make sense to me.
Well, the thing is, there actually was a bug in computer code that would have like caused pretty catastrophic difficulties with processing the year change to 2000. But luckily, a bunch of fucking nerds figured that out far enough advanced to address the problem. And so, like, the people that were freaking out about something that, if we were caught completely off guard for, could absolutely have been, if not a world-ending disaster, pretty big disruption to our daily lives at the time. But they were freaking out about a solved problem.
See, it is one of those like really weird moments that's another, like, listen, Y2K, I feel like, look, we had wars, in the early 90s, we were in the Gulf War and everything, there was a lot of crazy shit, but like Y2K started the millennium off to be like, it's going to be a wild millennium.
That was like our first like shared cultural moment as a generation that wasn't about the wars that our parents and grandparents started.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I feel like if we go back and we date things, right? We have ages, like from this year to this year was the Industrial Revolution, from this year to this year was the Dust Ages or whatever. I think the year 2000 starts a new age, and it's the era of technology. Because like there was technology before. We had cell phones, before, but they were just giant phones.
Yeah.
We had, cable TV. The internet still existed in the early 90s, but it wasn't what it was when that year 2000 flipped. Everything changed,
there was
right?
Just
everything.
A rapid explosion of technology that we still haven't fully caught up to, like processing the consequences of.
Yeah, or adjusting our laws to, the TikTok ban is another really great example of, this sort of thing just blew up over the course of the past 3 years, let's even say, even though TikTok's been around for a while. Sure. But the pandemic forward is when TikTok really 150 million Americans use TikTok. That means 1 in 3 people use TikTok. That is wild to me. 1 in 3 people in America use TikTok. Absolutely crazy to me. It is just it's a wild idea that this is what's happening.
Yeah.
What a crazy world. What a crazy world.
What crazy times.
But anyways, we have a brand new movie that we're reviewing coming up this Sunday. The best way to find out is make sure to hit that subscribe button on your podcast player of choice. If you're over on YouTube, hit subscribe anyways. We have brand new episodes every Thursday. And then there's a link to find us on the podcast world for your player of choice. Hit that button as well.
Do it.
So the movie is called I'm Totally Fine. It stars Jillian Bell and Natalie Morales. It is currently streaming on Hulu in America as of time of recording this episode. So if you're the type of person that watches movies before we review them, that is where you can find it. Go ahead and give it a watch, and then join us this coming Sunday for that episode.
Do it. Do it all.
Do it, or we'll punch you virtually with our fists.
We'll at least think really hard about it.
Yeah, in my mind's eye or whatever. That's another Scott Pilgrim reference. So there it is, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining us, and we will see you on Sunday.
Sure will.